against Holiday. Hachimura able to gather himself. Rebound. Rui Hachimura looking to put the head down. Hachimura has it ahead of the pack. Hachimura with the left. Konnichiwa. Nice wraparound pass. The lefty slam by Hachimura.
Wow, was it?
Yeah, the Rockets want to see John Wall, if he plays, to be more of a complementary player to their young core, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr.
We talk about John Wall. You need to look at his contract. This season, he's making $44.3 million. That's tied with James Harden for the second highest salary of the season.
The Wizards have been doing quite well this season, but Rui Hachimura has not been part of that success. I was initially just going to talk about Rui's absence, but this video would be too short, so let's also take a look at what's going on with John Wall in Houston. For those who don't know, as of this video, neither of them have yet to play a game in the 2020-21 season thus far. The media hasn't really talked about it much, honestly. I understand that for Rui, because despite being a popular figure in Japan, the Wizards don't really make any major headlines in the NBA. But for Wall, the guy who not too long ago was considered one of the best point guards in the league, his absence has also been shrouded in mystery. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a look at what's going on with these two guys. And how will they integrate themselves back into their teams when or if they come back? On November 8th, this is what Shams reported. The Wizards forward Rui Hachimura has resumed being around the team in recent days and is expected to be reintegrated fully in the next 2 weeks, sources said. Interesting, so that was in early November, yet it's approaching mid-December and there's still no word on Rui's return. However, around the same time, Coach Wes Unseld has also mentioned he's been working out, coming to practice and interacting with his teammates. He was asked about what's going on with Rui, to which he responded, "Well, I think right now it's still just where he is. It's not an issue of us not wanting him around or being around, it's when the time is right. I think he's continuing to do the conditioning, the workouts, the lifts. He's been doing those at the facility, which is great." While it's good to hear he's back with the team, the question that's unanswered is why he spent so long away from the team. It's a private matter. Perhaps mentally he wasn't prepared to play the season. Or maybe he felt like he got out of shape over the summer and needed time to get back to his physical peak. As of November 22nd, Rui started practicing with the Wizards' G League team. However, the real question for him and the Wizards is how would they integrate him back into the team once he returns? While Rui is without question a talented player, in his first 2 seasons in DC, he was a net negative when he was on the court. You might think it mostly has to do with his defense or lack thereof, but it's his offense as well. It was much worse in his rookie season. By the advanced metrics, he finished with a negative 0.24 defensive real plus-minus. That ranked him 55th among all power forwards. More shockingly, his offensive RPM was just negative 2.03, 75th among all power forwards. Thankfully, he showed noticeable improvements in both categories by his sophomore year. The problem with Rui in years past is, I feel like he played out of position. When it comes to playstyle, he reminds me a lot of old school small forwards, back in the 90s and 2000s. A guy who can score in a bunch of ways, but primarily hangs around the mid-range area. Also, he doesn't provide much outside of his average scoring ability. Teams these days want their small forwards to be all-around players. You know, they gotta be good passers, they gotta be versatile defenders, they gotta be able to shoot threes, they gotta have great instincts in all aspects of the game. Rui, unfortunately, lacks all of that. It also didn't help that Scott Brooks played him out of position. The dude is not a power forward. I hate when teams look at a guy who's 6'8", has the skill set of a typical small forward, yet sticks them at the 4, just cause they want to go small, without regard for what they're actually good at. There's an issue with minutes, too. The Wizards have a great rotation without him. Kuzma basically took his spot, and with Trez and Avdia off the bench, they got some good chemistry going. The team does need an additional scoring punch, and that's where Rui comes in, but that means somebody is about to lose a lot of minutes. Now, it might seem like I'm knocking him, but I'm not. I love Rui, and I'm just citing his weaknesses and why he might have trouble fitting in once he comes back. Now, let's take a look at John Wall. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm shocked that nobody cares he's currently not playing. According to a report from Woj, this is what he said about Wall. There are no plans for John Wall to play for the Rockets. It's becoming increasingly likely that John Wall may not play anywhere in the NBA this season. The cost of his contract right now is just too prohibitive. He's got a $44 million deal this year and a $47 million player option next year that any team that would potentially trade for him would want him to decline. Well, he's not doing that. He's not giving that money back. It's not entirely his fault. According to Shams, Wall and the team tried to work out a solution, but they couldn't reach any. The team wants to go into a full rebuild, but they still want Wall to be a mentor to the young guys. Perhaps they're concerned Wall might lead them to more wins if he plays, so they won't get as high of a pick? I don't know. The Rockets are building around Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, and Christian Wood, so they don't want Wall taking up most of the possessions. They want their young guys to develop naturally through trial by fire. Their timeline doesn't match up with Wall's, who's on the wrong side of 30. Additionally, he's expressed his desire to play for a contender, so him sitting out makes sense for him, so he doesn't get injured again and crash his trade value. I mean, it's basically impossible to trade his massive contract anyway. Jack Maloney of CBS Sports put it nicely. Wall is going to want to play for a contender at this stage of his career, but are any contenders going to want Wall? The Rockets have been trying to trade him for a while, but like I said, his contract is insane. Also, he won't be a free agent until 2023. Well, he can actually choose to be a free agent in the summer of 2022 if he rejects his $47 million player option, which he's not going to reject. Unlike Rui, nobody knows if Wall will ever suit up for his team again. There's also the question if, can Wall still even play at an all-star level? In the previous year in Houston, he had the highest usage rate of his career, yet he put up career lows in assists, rebounds, steals, and field goal percentage. He registered the lowest true shooting percentage since his sophomore year, and even at his peak, he wasn't that efficient. The advanced metrics have never been kind to Wall, even in his best years. So now, a post-Achilles, post-double knee surgery Wall? Who would even want him? In fact, which contender would even want him? The Sixers? Are they even contenders? The Nets or Nuggets? The teams I named, all three of them are literally missing their starting point guard. Even if he was added onto a team, I don't think it's guaranteed he'll make them better. I look at Wall in a similar way as I do Westbrook. When he joins a team, he also takes his absurd usage rate and his playstyle along with him. They can't just fit onto any system, the system has to accommodate them. Plus, I'm not sure Wall would even accept a role off the bench, but that might be his best option if he truly wants to join a contender. Regardless, most teams don't have the cap space to take on his contract without giving up a superstar of their own. Fun fact, Wall is making more money than Kevin Durant this season. That's just insane, dude. He's not a bad player, he's just making way too much money compared to how much he produces. Anyway, that sums it up. Rui Hachimura will most definitely be back at some point on the Wizards, but for Wall, his time in Houston is basically over. It's a waiting game now, to see if the Rockets can somehow find a way to trade him. Where do you think Wall will end up? Or do you think the Rockets will give up trying to trade him and try to incorporate him back into the team? That'll be kinda awkward. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.